Hello, welcome pen friends. This is an unscheduled video, but I'm really excited to make it. It all came about because of a comment in a comment section of my last pen chat, and I'll read you part of what the person said, and that spurred my thoughts. I was reading and I would think about this question. I was washing dishes and I'd think about it, and the ideas just flowed because it's a subject that means so much to me. Journaling and writing, even when you don't feel like it or even when times are hard. So here's the initial spur for this video. The person said, "I'd love to hear your thoughts about how to get motivated to journal when all you have are difficult thoughts." So, I mean, that's heavy, right? It is a heavy subject, and it's something I think we all face as writers, as people who like to journal. I know I have many, many times. So I'm keeping the person anonymous. They know who they are. I didn't want to wait until my next pen chat to address this, and there was just so many ideas and things that I've tried that I thought the time is right. So as we go into this video, we can assume that, someone might be dealing with the loss of a loved one. It could be that they have a loss of a job or financial difficulties, maybe even health difficulties, or the loss of a beloved pet. We can look generally at all the different things that might disrupt our writing. And I'm not sure if the commenter is a regular writer, but I would think so. I'm assuming because if a person's wanting to write and can't, or only is confronting negative thoughts, it's probably someone who journals and who writes often. And that's me. I mean, I write all the time, but there are times when I've been severely disrupted and it just, the regular routine of my writing didn't work out. So I'm going to start with a disclaimer. I'm not a counselor and or an expert really in anything. And so if you're feeling depressed and really down, please get professional help. Always seek professional help if you're feeling hopeless or depressed. And I think that goes without saying, and yet it's important. It's important because I don't have all the answers, but I've got several ideas that could help you, because I can say that with confidence because it has helped me. These things have helped me. So before I start, also, I wanted to say that one of the things that does help me the most is that I already know some of my payoffs for journaling, for writing, and there's so many. I get clarity. I get really clear on things. I release a lot of tension when I'm able to write and really flow the writing. I get ideas too. And the other thing is I tend to have more access to better memories once I clear out all the gobbledygook of whatever it is that's happening, And really, the more serious it is, the further away from joy we can feel. And I do believe that writing can be the bridge that gets us back into feeling joy, even during the worst times, right in the middle of the worst times even. It's always there, and it's not the same maybe as a happy, kind of feeling, but it's just... it's hard to put into words too, but I just feel like writing can put us back into a better place. The other thing, let's see, or maybe that's the first thing I need to follow my notes, because if I don't kind of look down and follow my notes, I'll be all over the place and I won't get across the things I think are really important. So forgive me, please. So I get relief from depression. I get unstuck quite often when I'm able to keep writing, through whatever it is. Because sometimes it's not a big, huge loss. Sometimes it's just this overall feeling of blah, just life that sort of isn't going the way I'd like it to go, or something like that. And the other thing, okay, because this is all before we start with the 10 tips. I wanted to get those things out of the way first. I had recently felt that deep disappointment when I went back into my 2015 journal which I started like in January of 2015, and then my dad passed away in February of 2015. And I found these big gaping holes. I could tell that I was trying to journal back then, but I didn't do it as often. And so I wish I had left those little breadcrumbs for myself, even if they had been extremely hard to read now or sad. Now, there are some entries, and I'm so grateful for the entries I did make that I do wish, and I'm going to learn from that I had written more during that time. It would mean a lot to me now. So there was a whole kind of a missing period there. And I think, if I put together with my planner, then I could probably come up with what I was actually doing. But I like the long form journaling to look back on as far as, the emotions and the feeling around it. And just a little bit of writing will bring back the day. It'll bring back a lot of what was happening and how I was coping. So I think now is a good time to just start on number one. So the number one thing I think we need when we're trying to write or journal during a hard time is to give ourselves permission to not just be positive. So we're always told that we need to have gratitude and that gratitude is important. And it is. I have kept totally separate little gratitude journals often in life, and they're great, and I don't, but we're talking about a time when we can barely, make it to the notebook and write. We're just not feeling motivated. But I think the first step is to give yourself permission that it's okay to write things that are not all happy and good, and that maybe it isn't something you'd ever want anyone else to see. It's just for you. So, and I found that when I clear away all those layers of stress and fear and sadness in a messy way, then I can get to the other writing. And so that leads me to actually, I like to see what I wrote down, because I was really doing good here. Yeah, until I do that, I can't fully access or get into the grace or the gratitude part anyway. So I might as well admit that there are times when my journaling is not going to be happy, happy, joy, joy, and it's going to be messy, and it's probably going to be negative in some way, whether it's sadness or fear or grief or all of the above, or worry or anger even, God forbid, right? Anger. So the thing is, we're often, especially women, I think, we're sort of conditioned and trained that we need to be positive. And I have a book up here somewhere called Toxic Positivity or something like that. And it's got a lot to say that was really moving to me. So my second tip then is that if you're going to do writing like this, I would suggest that you have a notebook that's not a pretty leather notebook. Like I've got my little owl notebook here. And that's pretty. And I don't want to write stuff in that I just as soon shred or burn or whatever, or that's really messy and just for me. I'd like to have, that in either a composition notebook, and I do recommend the CVS Caliber because you can go crazy with fountain pen ink. In fact, I think this is one where I splat. So this is a splat one. And you can do all that and it doesn't go through. And then this is my current what I call process notebook. And it's just a spiral, full-size notebook. So, and it's a CVS Caliber as well. Okay, so I don't want to get ahead of my notes because I do think they made some kind of logical progression. So that's tip 2. Find a notebook that isn't your favorite notebook, that isn't one that's beautiful and you want to save it. Okay, so then, yeah, because it's hard to write sad, stress, anger inside a beautiful notebook. At least it is for me. Although I admit it spills out over the edges sometimes, even in my bullet journal. So who am I kidding? But I know when I need to go to my process notebook, believe me. And it happens. And so I go straight to that notebook. Okay, so tip 3 is the size. I really kind of wanted to make a big deal out of that because it might help you as well as it's helped me. I think the full size, like whatever it is, 8.5 by 10 or 11, or, a full size notebook versus what I normally pick, which is a A5. It just gives you so much more room to work and be messy and you don't end up restricted in pages. You don't have to turn your pages as often, and and they tend to be cheaper. You know, a composition notebook or a spiral notebook tends to just be a couple of dollars. So that's important to me anyway, so I thought I'd mention it. And then number 4, I'm going to show you this inside my actual notebook. I do what I call a mind map, so I'm concentrating on words when I start. I don't just start writing. A lot of times I'll put on the page, I'll put current stressors and circle it, and then I'll do mind mapping out into the different things, you know, whether it's, you know, I have a pet that's under the weather, or, you know, I'm worried about this bill, or there's a hurricane coming, whatever it is, you're brain dumping that out in an easy form because you're just using words. The one I'm going to show you is not that, because I don't care to really like publicly show my negative, you know, stuff. That's just for me. But I also have been known to do one like this. And so I'm glad it's here because it'll show you at least what it looks like. So this was one where I said, I'm looking forward to, and I did all these. And this way you can see what I'm talking about. I put looking forward to in the middle, and then I just went to town with it. This is all fountain pen inks. And that's going to come up on another tip. So, yeah, so this is what the right-hand side of the page looks like. You know, on the right-hand side, I have my mind map. Over here, it would normally be, you know, straight writing, but these are notes on like hoarding and clutter, because that's all I'm willing to show you in this process notebook. So there we have it. So the mind mapping, I find that it's so easy. It doesn't take any effort at all. And oh, I just see my husband is misbehaving. As soon as I come and press the button, he starts going out to do things that are really heavy work outside. Oh, well, I'll have to talk to him. Okay, let's see. That was tip 4. So tip 5 is that when I get done doing that mind map type thing where I've just thrown out words, you know, I try to keep it as simple as I can. I don't have to go into detail because I know. In other words, when I'm doing that part of the page, it's just real simple. And then I feel like I'm ready to write. So I do what's called brain dump style journaling. I set a timer usually for 15 minutes. But when I started doing this, I learned from a writer named Julie Jordan Scott. And she did what she called 5 for 5 brain dump. And I met her on Periscope years ago, back in, I think it was 2016. And so she'd have us set a timer and we would write for 5 minutes. You know, brain dump style, just stream of consciousness style, just anything that comes out, no matter how ridiculous. And if you have to repeat yourself on, I don't know what to write, or I can't think, or this exercise is stupid, that'll get you started. It doesn't really matter. You'll be surprised. You will end up being able to write. And it's, you know, whatever you think of and you write down, you're just sort of clearing the clutter in your brain. And it's an amazing process. So that, at least that's what's worked for me. And number 6 is I'd recommend colorful fountain pen inks and non-permanent ones, because the way that it works in here, when I'm doing that brain dump side that I showed you, you know, it takes me a while sometimes to get going, just to have the notebook near me and then, you know, decide that I'm going to sit there and write. You know, it's those times when it's hard times. So I love to see color, and it brightens me up. It lifts me just a little bit just to see the color. And this, you know, this held true even back when I had the terrible losses of my senior cats. So I'm talking just from my own experience here. Okay, so you know, and I happen to like turquoise, magenta, teal, purple. Those are my favorites. And pink if I can get it dark enough, which that's how come I end up usually with magenta. So, and then, okay, so tip number 7 is, and this I learned also from Julie Jordan Scott, and I'll see what she is up to these days and link her. I'm sure she's still on Instagram, but I'm not sure if she still offers writing classes or not. I think she's moved and everything. So, but I'll see what I can find to link. You know, she advised us to, at the end of our brain dumping, whether it's 15 minutes, 5 minutes, however long, to do gratitude at the end. And, you're more receptive to a higher level of, reaching for gratitude after you've dumped out, whatever it is that you needed to get off your heart or out of your mind, just released. You've released all that. And believe me, it's much easier then to think of something to say toward the end. You might not believe it when you start writing. So, okay, and then tip number 8 would be to shred or obliterate anything that you don't want anyone to see or lock it up. But when I really get carried away and I seriously don't like what I wrote, that's why I like using fountain pen ink that's easy to get rid of. Not even semi-permanent inks. I'm talking, my pilot inks that are the ones that are just not water resistant. And then I'll take my water brush and I'll just completely let everything blend together and get rid of it. And if it doesn't work completely, then I'll scribble on top with a different color and water brush some more. That's why I love the CVS Caliber or any kind of paper that's heavy enough to do that with. Chamoy River paper, generally speaking, is really good because you may crinkle the pages up and it may ruin, but that's when I like the papers, when it's all crinkly and dried up. It may take an hour and a half to dry, but that's okay. You've already done the healing process of releasing. And so I just think that's, you're already there once you've written it. And on the other hand, I generally don't do that because I do like, and then here's tip number 9, it is look back on your old journals and your writing regularly. I think it's important. I think at least monthly we ought to look back on what we're writing. You would be shocked at the things you write. It's almost like you're trying to tell yourself something. And then if we don't look back on it, we miss messages. Like when I go back on these older process notebooks, sometimes I'm like, wow, I was telling myself this 4 years ago, So let's not let so much time go in between because that's part of the magic of writing, whether or not we're trying to change something, insights and, growth and patterns and things, they tend to come out of our writing even when we're not trying. So I do think looking back on your journals is important. Okay, and then tip number 10, if you're still not ready to write, if this doesn't resonate with you yet, or maybe it is too heavy of a time or too complicated of a time, then I recommend doing something like coloring, like with colored pencils or with glitter gel pens, whatever you have really, whatever you could put your fingers on, maybe painting. And then the other thing, like, when I'm all jammed up in my brain and I just don't even care about writing, sometimes my entry point is splatting ink. And it sounds silly, but it's just very therapeutic for one thing. I mean, it's kind of an out of control sort of situation. And I don't have very many in this notebook, so, but I have other notebooks where that's all I have in it. But, this is that King Philip Requiem, and it's on CVS Caliber. And I swear you could write on the back. Now, that's a really hardy ink. Most inks don't even seep through like that. So you still can write around it or write on the back page or whatever. So there's that. And then there's another thing that I can do sometimes when I'm not really wanting to write, and that is my glue book. So I like to work in this. This is another, this is a super cheap one. Probably was 50 cents or less. Composition book that I put a map on the front and I put my name, and a long time ago, but I still get in here. In fact, I've got loose things that I haven't glued in yet. And there was a process of crinkling the page and then going over it with colored pencils. And I've got things that, some things I'm going to glue in fell out. I knew that was going to happen, but that's okay. I just collage in things from pen pals, and I've showed this before, and it's been a while since I worked in it. Oh, but this one, I don't think I ever showed you this. This was from a pen pal. This is from, I think Pen Friend Penny did this, and I had to preserve it, make sure that it wasn't just put in with all my other letters, and I have my grandmother's desk. I keep, special letters in there. But this is, I got carried away. I did all the pages with crinkle and with, and this was from pen friend Mary Hodges, the idea to do it. And gosh, I've got stamps. Oops. Oh, there's another one I meant to put in. Somebody sent me their really cool ink splats. I haven't been able to do them that cool, but one day maybe I will. A little illustration from a pen pal. So this kind of thing, I don't do much at a time. I just look at what I have on my desk that I've crammed into corners and I start gluing. And so it's creative. It's not necessarily writing at all. I mean, I haven't written in this. I could. In fact, I think that was one of my... Oh, there's a rickshaw postcard I wanted to keep because it was written on the back from one of their workers. And then, another one too. I'm really addicted to their postcards. And then I put one of theirs in here too. But anyway, that, something like that is creative and gets you, it beats the heck out of feeling bad if we're doing anything. So, my mom always used to tell me, if you're depressed, clean out a drawer. Or, if you're depressed, do a load of laundry or something like that. And there's truth in that. And so, but if we're trying to edge closer to creativity, closer to writing, then I'm thinking, coloring, painting, ink splatting, glue booking, anything, just anything. And really, the simpler you do, I mean, I've had a lot of time with this book, so yeah, it has my name on it, and I took the time to glue on a map from, it's just scrapbook paper that I had in an old container. But anything you could do, and it's not, my ideas are not the only ideas, obviously. Maybe for you might want to do something totally unrelated to the arts or writing, or, the other day, I kind of lifted myself out of a little bit of a funk just by setting my sewing machine up and then starting to drag out some of the things that I needed to hem or fix. And my goodness, by the time I knew it, I had fixed a pair of jeans that were given to me, hemmed up another pair that I'd gotten at the thrift store and turned them into capris and made a t-shirt shorter. So that's 3 things. That's 3 pieces now that I can wear. And I don't know whether I could have gotten that far if I was in the depths of some of the kind of grief that I have been in the past. But I think just anything, any step toward, creativity or toward doing something that gets us a little bit out of our head. But first we have to go in and meet those demons. I mean, that's my belief. Sometimes I get in trouble for spouting off my beliefs, but it's just my opinion, or it's just my experience, and that's all. And that. I feel like until I meet the negativity, I sometimes feel like it's a little barrier between me and the higher, not higher, but the more comfortable emotions, and I have to be comfortable or make friends with, or at least acknowledge the negative first. He is in so much trouble with me. He's out there cutting the palm trees, and he would not do that if I wasn't on the video. So, I mean, it's sort of like doctor's orders. I mean, I had one friend say, you can't tell anybody else what to do, but I'm just trying to help my husband not stress his heart. And he's doing this because I'm still healing from my fall, but I'm doing much, much better. And today was going to be the, Chris's ink pens, but I thought this is a more important video because whenever something sparks that many ideas and that much from me that I just want to make a standalone video on it, that's when I don't want to put it off and say, well, I'll do it next month, when it comes time for the a pen chat, because this was enough material to really get me thinking. And these are 2 of my favorite journals from the past, but you can see why I probably wouldn't want to write the most difficult things in these, although that also could be a mistake, because right now, looking back, I would welcome whatever I had written in this notebook. And, you know, I've got some messy stuff in here that I was up there in Vermont alone before Emmanuel came up and we drove back down to Texas. So, you know, there was some dark moments, but I was still doing, where I did a journaling process at that time where I wrote the best part of my day, the worst part of my day, what I learned that day, the most stressful thing that happened that day. Okay, I can see we were already back in Texas, so let me go back before that. How I could better handle that most stressful part of my day. And this all came from Tate, my counselor, and his book, I can't even think of the name, so I'm going to have to link it. Gosh, I've just like blanked, and it's up above my other work desk, so I can't even look up and see it. And then, so one of these other things is the most stupid thing, you know, that happened. What do I need to let go of or surrender? And I've talked about this. Actually, what I need to do is just link the video where I talked about this process. What I was grateful for. And then goals for tomorrow. And steps that I might need to take to make those things happen. So yeah, that was directly from a counselor, Tim, that I had. But I kind of wished that I had a lot more just long form writing in this book. And, you know, I was trying, I believe, to, you know, keep it positive, or at least keep it balanced, because, you know, in that format that my counselor gave me, it wasn't always balanced. I always put the worst part of the day and what I learned and how I could do better. So, and then this one started out, this is a leather bound one that I got at, it's rare for me to ever spend that much money on a journal, or at least it was back in 2016. Now, I think I've gotten a little bit desensitized by prices, and with really nice Italian paper. And this I did a lot of, like, where we had a prompt. This was Open a Door to 2024. Oh, this was with Tom from Ink Journal. Yeah, share a significant change or transition you experienced in the past year and how it affected your life. He's got some really good prompts, and I can go back and I can read, you know, what I wrote, and it's really better, I think. So that's where I think the value is of getting all that, the brain dump out of the way. Then you actually, maybe not the same day or the same week or month even, but as you're working in a process journal, you might become more willing and excited to just do regular journaling again, you know, get back to it, especially if you're somebody that likes to write, you know, like I am. I mean, I think that it's maybe a selfish thing, because the payoffs are incredible. I do get more clarity. I do feel like I complain less to others if I Dear Diary enough, which is important. You know, it goes just like when we were kids, you know, I would write in my little diary with a little lock, you know, things that were bugging me, and it's very similar. So I hope that this helps even one person, or inspires one person to pick up a pen and write anything, or pick up an ink syringe and splatter ink, or whatever it is. I had one more thing, but it didn't fit into the video at all, but I had a friend recently mention, an in-person friend, a local friend, say something about making a pro-con list, and I thought, ooh, that's awesome, because I am forever trying to make decisions. You know, sometimes you'll catch me trying to make simple decisions, and I'm standing in front of different, like, shampoo or whatever, and I'm going, well, I wonder if I should try this. Well, I don't know, and reading it and trying to decide. Well, we're not talking about that kind of decision. I'm talking about bigger things, but the power of the written word for us to, you know, get the ideas out of our mind, but not lose them, not forget about them, but, you know, show ourselves, well, this might be the negative, or the, you know, the positive or the negative. Okay, I'm going to go and see what my husband is doing out there with the palm trees. And it's funny, I heard a power saw, and I didn't know we had a power saw that would do the job. I hope we do, because then maybe I could do a better job I've been using this, you know, this thing that looks like it comes out of a horror movie with a saw blade on the end of it, you know, a handsaw to do it. And it's getting where we're going to have to hire people if we don't figure it out. So, okay, I'll let you go now, because now here we go into the non-related part. And I will see you in the next video, which will be Chris's inked pens. And I think maybe I was better able to do this video right now because I'm not at my lowest. I'm certainly dealing with some anxiety and stress, you know, and things like that. But maybe it was perfect timing for someone to ask that question. And I hope it helps. I hope it helps even a little bit. And then, you know, there are a lot of good resources out there too that I've, you know, looked up, and I'm always Googling, how do I do this? Or what is an idea for how I can journal, or, you know, journaling prompts, you know, look for that if you want. So I'll see you next time. I just crossed the 30-minute line here, and have a great weekend. Bye for now.